Hello everybody, welcome back. This is the video 3. We're going to do a little mini series here. So from what we've learned so far and what we're going to learn, we're going to be able to build something because I think that's the best way to learn, really. So I'm going to demo for you what we're going to work up to building, and then it'll be up to you guys to actually build it. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and what we're going to be doing is converting a regular string into LeetSpeak. And LeetSpeak, of course, is the nerdy way of replacing numbers and letters. So if we run this script, we see enter some text. So I'm going to say, take me out to the ball game. And then the translated message, as you can see, we'll even make it super big. You can see how we have letters that have been replaced. So instead of T, we have a 7. Instead of an A, we have a 4. K is good. E is 3. And you see how it repeats itself. Out, the O is replaced by a 0. And ball itself, the 8 replaces the B. The 4 replaces the A. The L is replaced by a 1 in both cases. So that's what we're going to work up to building this little Leet translator. So let's just dive right in. And here we have some code using objects and method. For this, we have a variable that is equal to, can you hear me yet? And then we have a print statement with the variable, and then this little period here, and then the words upper with closed parentheses. Now what this is a class, a class on strings. So there are many different classes that you can add to your printout. For instance, we can do lowercase, and we can do title, and we can do switch case, and those are just a few. If you look at the Python documentation on strings, you will see these classes. For this, we're going to use the uppercase function, which is going to return it in all caps, is basically all that's doing. Next, we have the user input. So we're going to catch the raw input, so everything that's caught in here, and we're going to ask the question, hey, what's up? And then we're going to print out, you said, and then we're going to display what's been passed through this raw input here. Down here, we're going to set a raw input to this, what should I shout? And the response is going to be equal to the response uppercase. So we are going to be displaying that all caps. And then the print statement will be, well, if you insist, then the response. So let's go ahead and jump into the terminal and run this. And see what we got. Can you hear me yet? Hey, what's up? Nothing much. You said nothing much. What should I shout? Ha ha ha? Well, let's do it all in mode. Ha ha ha? Well, if you insist, ha ha ha. So what we're doing here is we're taking values from the raw inputs, and then we're manipulating them in some way just through our print statement. And we can do that by adding these selectors. Now there's like these classes. Now there's a lot of these, and if you go through the Python docs, you can look and experiment with them however you want. Let's do title. So can you hear me yet? And we'll rerun it and see what that produces. Can you hear me yet? Do you see a difference here? This is in all caps, right? And this is capitalizing just the first. It's the first in each one. Title case. Pretty neat. And let's see what the switch. Not sure if it's switch case or just switch. We're going to see here in a second. Let's go through here. Nothing. No. Okay. Let's run that again. And we get an error. Switch case, no attribute switch case, which means this is not correct. So let's go back in to the Komodo edit and let's just try switch and see what happens there. We'll try to run that again. And again, switch is not an option. So we'll go back in and maybe switch case. I don't know. Let's try it. And again, we have no switch case. So this is a good way of showing you if you're not getting something right, and you can look back and it tells you right here. This is a good, it says in the file that we're working in, line 4 in the module, it's telling you right here, attribute string object has no attribute switch. So that means this little case that we've given it means absolutely nothing. It's not, we're not pulling from anything. We just made something up, and we can't do that. So let's go back to the upper and return a copy of the string as converted to uppercase. This is a little hint that Komodo will give you, kind of nifty in case you're wondering. Let's run it again, and of course we get the text in all uppercase letters, all capitalized. Alright, so let's go ahead and fill this out, and let's clear that out for our next one. Our next one, we're going to get into streamlining your print statements. Okay, there are different ways you can do this when you're printing out your print statements. I'm going to run this and then show you. So I'm going to show you what pops up. Alright, these are all bringing in the same thing, correct? It all says the same thing. Okay, but how we're doing it is different. So on line 7, for instance, okay, we have our variables here. We have our legs equal to 2, arms equal to 2, okay. Print the name, which is this right here, has, and then we do a string number of legs, so we're passing that through as a string value. And then number of arms, we're passing that through as a string value using the string functions. Here's a different version. This is concatenation. Okay, concatenation is a big fancy word for taking a bunch of pieces and putting them back together. Simple as that. So follow along on this one and I'll explain it. Let's see if I can get, alright. Get this a little bit bigger, not too big. Okay. So we have print name again. We add the plus, and then we have, in quotes, has, and then we do string, and then plus this, whatever's in this little string nums are plus, plus, plus. Okay, all the pluses are doing is meeting this together. Okay, just putting it all together. That's all it is. These little spaces here are going to make sure that it spaces it out and it looks decent. If you put them together, it'll all just be one string, so it'll all be connected. Now, the format function. I'm going to talk about this for just a second. The format function, since we are working in Python 2.7, the format function is the way to go. The percents and things like that you can use into a string to spit things out. For example, if we were going based off of this, we could print, then we would take this and we would add a percent sign. My name is, give it, and then we could do the percent sign string, right? That would just take this name and it would put it in to this string. The formatting function, that if you look at it, pretty similar in the way that it works, but it's a lot cooler. So I have these curly braces where I'm going to replace things, and then I use the dot format, parentheses, and then I list them. Okay, so the name, the num legs, the num arms. Now you can also use this with indexing numbers. So this is index 0, 1, 2, and then you can place them in any order. It doesn't matter, and then call their indexes as well. So I can say 2, num arms, 1, num legs, and so on and so forth. So I encourage you to play around with this, and not to forget the percent, string, all of that good stuff. But this is going to format it correctly, so decimals and things like that. It's just going to automatically handle it for you, and it's a better transition for anyone who's going to go on to Python 3 and use that as their string modifier. Okay, now I'm gonna demo this calculation. So we're gonna take whatever the person inputs, and then we're going to do a calculation on it based on what they input, and then we're going to print that out. Okay, so you can see down here I have my statement, my print statement. We're going to go base number, exponent, and then the actual calculation. Okay, so here's the base number will be there, exponent will be there, and our calculation, which we're going to be placing here, the result of that is the base number. Two of these asterisks is saying to the base power, so to the exponent, and then we're going to release this calculation. So what that looks like is, let's clear this out. So enter a base, let's say 1.2. Enter an exponent, let's say 3. And 1.2 to the power of 3 is in fact 1.728. Kind of cool. You can just, very, very simple, right? We've used very little code here, and we've done a lot of things. Now notice what I did with the raw input function here. I added a float function around it, which means anything that gets passed through here is going to return as a float. So to make sure that the calculations are done correctly, I can actually tell it, hey, I just want a float value back. This one, integer, I just want an integer. So if I enter a float in here, and this bottom one on line 4, it's going to return an integer, the closest to it. And the same with this. If I put a 3 up here, it's going to return 3.0 as a float, just to get the actual calculation going where it should be. Alright, that's it for this video. Coming up on the next video, we have loops, and we're going to go into loops and then conditionals. And for any of those of you who have taken other Python stuff and you're worried, where are the functions? Don't worry, the functions are coming. So thank you. Stay tuned for the next video.